So we also have a whole bunch of new Cyberverse figures. We discussed about the Spark Armor stuff not too long ago. But it seems there's a lot more stuff that was brought to the table here at Toy Fair. Some larger stuff, some smaller stuff here and there. Now we know about Prowl, we know about Optimus and all the other Spark Armor stuff, but we also had some new reveals. So it looks like we're also going to have Spark Armor stuff of Shockwave. Now, Shockwave Spark Armor, and it's funny too because the one that they show here, it looks like it's a one. Like, see, the images that they showed initially was they showed a one-step Transformer Shockwave, and that is not a Spark Armor one. That's just a one-step Transformer one that automatically transforms. They also had a Skybite one that they showed also, which was a very lackluster-looking shark mode. But then in the actual display room, they had a Spark Armor Shockwave, and a lot of people kind of overlooked that one because it's just the way that it was displayed with everything else. Everyone thought it was the one-step one. And I mean, it's nothing too spectacular. The only thing that's worth mentioning is that his Spark Armor turns into like a satellite dish kind of thing. So that's kind of cool. But otherwise, like,
okay, that kind of makes sense.
There's nothing else really that's like, oh, hey, that's really cool or original in terms of what it it's purple and more purple. You know, I mean, there's no crazy color combination or stuff like that. So that was one that was ignored, but I'll post some images in the segment so that people could see it, because a lot of stuff didn't get covered. It just kind of got glossed over. So now we had a whole bunch of new toys that were also revealed that weren't part of the Spark Armor line. The first one that really catches my eye is we have a Ultra Alpha Trion. This one's really cool because Alpha Trion has not gotten a lot of figures through Transformer history. A lot of them were relegated to either convention exclusives or non-transformable toys, whether it be PVCs or statues. So it's nice to get a real decent Alpha Trion looking toy. And a lot of people that even if they weren't collecting Cyberverse and they were just Generations people, or they were people that just collect, very key figures, they're probably going to find themselves, and me included, I feel like I'm going to find myself dipping into Cyberverse and picking up this character specifically at this even though this is the more expensive price point.
Right.
Just because it's Alpha Trion and one of the original 13 and a key character in Transformers lore and history. And again, he actually doesn't look too bad. It looks pretty cool. It's a very kind of almost reminds me of how the United continuity, which is what Transformers Prime was. It kind of reminds me of an Alpha Trion that would have came from that universe. So it looks really nice. Okay.
I could see that.
And again, there's a few other additions here too that, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It kind of like it separates people. So like we have a Cyberverse Warrior class here from the Sharkticons. Now this one, when I look at this one, I'm like, you know what? We got a really good Generations one not too long ago, which was a Scout class one. So I mean, the whole purpose of this one, because it literally looks like. It looks like the Generations one, but with slightly less pieces.
Yeah, that's true.
But it also possesses like a gimmick where it swings probably the mace, which was an accessory that the original G1 came with, and then it transferred over to the Generations one and just became associated with that character. But this one, it's like, I understand why it exists. They need to do another toy. They need to put that trademark out there. But at the same time, it's like, I don't see a lot of people needing to pick this up outside of them being a fan of that character, if you are a fan of that character. But otherwise, you already got a really good Sharkticon toy way before. Here's one that's really cool. We have Deadlock. Deadlock was the name of Drift's original, I guess we'll call it alias, before he became Drift and joined the Autobots. I don't know if this is something that's going to be brought up in the cartoon, but it clearly is probably going to come up at some point where we're going to have a Decepticon Deadlock and maybe his Dinobot-esque kind of transformation into an Autobot. That's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
But it also gives Hasbro a chance to tie up the Deadlock name and have it part of their brand so they could use it in the future for telling the narrative of that character. I mean, we have a few characters in Transformers lore where they have these redemptions, where they go through a Decepticon turned Autobot, storyline, whether we were just talking about Jetfire, but, Dinobot also is another one of those, and even Armada Starscream. So here's yet another one of those, and now he has a deluxe-ish, which is the Warrior class toy. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is what it is. It's Cyberverse, which are a lot more blocky, but again, at least because we have the Deadlock name now trademarked, it means in the future we could probably get a better Deadlock toy as time progresses. And the only other one here worth mentioning that's unique is we also had a Scraplet was revealed.
Yeah.
And this one again, much like the Alpha Trion, even if you're not someone who had any plans of buying any Cyberverse related stuff, if you're a fan of Transformers lore and you want to own something that's a character unique to the lore but really hasn't had a figure up to this point. So now
official figure.
Now we have a Scout class, Scout being what is pretty much the Legend scale, or the larger Legend scale or the basic scale. We have a Scout class Scraplet. So, I mean, Scraplet's probably the last time we really had a good representation of them was in Transformers Prime.
Yeah, exactly.
They had a whole episode, and that's what the design really is based on here. And I mean, it has a very simple transformation, if you even want to call it that. It has pretty much Spark Eater mode, and that's it.
Well, yeah, it's just like mouth open, mouth closed.
Yeah, but again, it's cool that it exists, and that's one that if they needed a platform for this character to come out in, that would have made sense. I mean, I could have seen it. I could have also seen it maybe used in the Battle Master scale in Generations, but I guess they really have, they have their waves already packed up and what they want to do. So if they have to put it in Cyberverse and for it to become a reality, no problem in my part. I'm fine with that. And again, like I mentioned before, it trademarks the name Scraplet, which up to this point has not been trademarked. So it also keeps that name in the family for Transformers in the future if they want to use it with other product. So that's pretty much it for the Cyberverse reveals. There, aside from the Shockwave that pretty much was only on the floor, everything else got really nice photos from an official standpoint on Hasbro's Facebook page. So if you want to see the Shockwave, you should probably I'm going to obviously post part of the segment. I'll post it here too, but there'll probably be some better HD images. You just kind of have to look at the Spark Armor display, and you'll see him just hanging out there among the others. And a lot of people miss that one, which is kind of silly. But otherwise, interesting stuff. Again, as long as we have a platform to get some of those characters that didn't have toys in the past or had toys but not really that great. It's nice to have an opportunity to have them out there and to trademark the names to be used in the future.